welcome to my channel. Why are grocery store prices not coming down? I mean, every time that we go into the grocery store, it seems like, the prices just keep going up, but nothing seems to be coming down much at all. I mean, eggs, they did come down, a little bit, which is very nice to have seen, but in the long run, why aren't our prices coming down? And that seems to be the big question for a lot of us nowadays. So I'm going to narrow this down for you a little bit so maybe you can understand why the prices aren't coming down as fast as we would like them to. In the very beginning of the pandemic and everything, we had a lot of shortages going on, not only, in uh, the food, but labor shortages and you name it, shortages everywhere. So, this is an article from CNN, and they're kind of breaking it down a little bit for us all. When food producers started raising prices a few years ago, they blamed their own cost, including higher ingredient prices. But ingredient prices have actually come down some, and but they're still charging us the full price, in part because food productions have other expenses that remain pricey, like labor, transportation, compared to a few years ago. Um, but critics and industry experts say the cost increase gives food makers cover to hike prices above what the increase called for, boosting profits and correcting what they saw as too low prices in previous years. So that's telling me that they could come down, but they haven't come down, which is not right. I mean, if they can come down and they haven't, why not? Because they want to keep lining their own pocket. And now that they have seen that people would pay more, yeah, we've been paying more, and they see that, they're not rushing to give up profits by changing, or charging less. When costs change, especially when costs change in a very publicized way, it's not unusual for companies to use the moment to raise prices, and you know it's just terrible that they're not lowering them when they could. Between January 2022 and January 2023, groceries got 7 or 11.3 more expensive. 11.3% more expensive. Grasp that. Yeah, I'm sure you have, right in the wallet. Many food companies are forecasting that they might slow down or pause prices increase, but not lower them. Does it make any sense? No, it sure doesn't. Um, Prices for agricultural commodities are down after peaking in May, according to the USDA, and downward uh, track I cannot pronounce that word. Wheat, coffee, and cocoa commodity prices all fell in the last week in February, according to a recent report, but ingredients typically make up a small portion of overall food costs. Manufacturers are mostly paying up for other things like transportation, packaging, and wages. Um, there have been supply chain pressures and there have been commodity cost increases, but I think taking price increases that exceed that, uh, who specialize in food marketing, they are to me absolutely profit taking. Absolutely profit taking, yeah. See, Congra and Hershey reported higher profits in their most recent quarters, year over year. Coca-Cola reported profit growth in the third quarter before seeing declines in profits later in the year. Companies are maintaining elevated prices or continuing to increase them at a time when many Americans are already struggling to pay for food, especially as pandemic era food stamps expire. The kind of activity, in a big picture way, reduces the standard of living for the country, said Lane. A few years ago, food makers started increasing their prices very rapidly. We all remember that, right? Because in addition to headline news, which meant consumers weren't going to complain, everybody was raising their prices. And it took a while for the consumers to understand that prices have gone up. Yeah, because they did it gradually. Some shoppers might not have noticed slightly higher prices for individual items or that they were paying the same amount for less product, known as shrinkflation, though they might have realized that their dollars weren't going as far in the supermarket. But even if they did clock the changes, people just can't stop buying food. Many have cut back on restaurant visits or traded down to less expensive chains and locations. Others are shopping at budget grocers like Aldi. Some may be splurging on treats at the stores to replace expensive luxuries. So, people keep buying food at the grocery store despite higher prices because we all have to eat, right? Giving producers an opportunity to convince retailers that those higher prices won't drive customers away. Prices was just too low. Yeah, retailers want food makers to keep prices low. That works out well for them and for consumers, but not for manufacturers. When asked during a conference in February how Congress was able to raise prices without losing sales by volume, uh, pricing was just too low in frozen pre-pandemic, adding, what we've been able to still illustrate for the retailer is that consumers will welcome a $4 and $50 unit because at that price a frozen meal is still a good value. Whatever they say. Okay. Congo, which makes Marie Callender, Birdseye, and Healthy Choice from Pizzas and Bowls, said that the higher price points have allowed to improve its ingredients in the quarter ending on November 27th. It reported net income of $382.2 million, up about 39% over a year. That seems like a lot. And then during its fourth quarter earning calls, Coca-Cola was asked about reports of retailers' pushback on the pricing. We've earned the right to uh, we've earned the right to price with the consumers, said CEO James Quincy. If it can demonstrate that people will pay more for Coke, it can convince retailers that higher prices will be good for them too. Coca-Cola said it plans to continue to raise prices globally, nothing that input costs are still higher than usual. It, I like Coca-Cola, I really do, but there's been prices. I just can't buy as much of it anymore. I won't pay the price. I guess some people will. I'm not one of them. I'll get bagel cola or something a little bit cheaper most of the time. Once in a while, I might get a Coke if they have them on sale, but yeah, they think they can get by with it. They're just going to keep raising the price. Um, you know, it says during the fourth quarter, let me get back down here, prices will eventually come down, predicts Tom Bailey, senior consumer food analyst. Like lettuce and tomatoes have already gotten less expensive in the grocery store. Um, if and when companies do moderate their pricing, Bailey said they'll have to do it carefully. If you start dropping prices, it can undermine the value proposition that brands and manufacturers have built up over the year for the consumers. Lower prices could, for example, make people think food quality has gone down, or make them think that they were paying too much in the first place. Well, that's what we all think anyway, that we're paying too much in the first place. I mean, they could bring this stuff down, and they're not. And so, do you think? Let me know in the comments if they were to drop the food prices, your high quality food, and it dropped real fast. Would you think that it had anything to do with the food quality? Let me know. I don't personally, but everyone is different. So, but let me know what you think on the article, and it looks like we're going to continue to pay higher prices for a while yet. More of a reason, to keep adding to your pantry, guys, because, if we can buy it a little cheaper now than it might be later on, it's probably the wisest thing to do. And, we can hope for the best and prepare for the worst. So, anyway, guys, there you have it for today. Hope y'all enjoy your day, and make sure to give me a like and subscribe if you haven't yet. Hit that little subscribe button there, and there's a bell notification too that you can check to make sure that it's clicked so you get notified every time I upload a video. So anyway, guys, till next time, toodaloo, God bless. See you in the next video. Bye.